Hey all, Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the south, more specifically Richmond, Virginia, and I am outside of Rest in Pieces Oddities. I stopped by here a year or so ago, and unfortunately they were closed when I was passing through. It does look like they're open, so let's go ahead and take a look. Follow me. Look at that wall, taxidermy right there. Got some nuns right there. Got a little bit of holy water. Some rosaries. There's a baby zebra from the Pittsburgh Zoo. It says it died of natural causes. And there's these mummies right here that apparently are used as auxiliary mummies during a funeral to be packed full of the deceased's belongings. It's an articulated Coatimundi statue. Coatimundis are really mean, if you didn't know. Oddfellow's scene bearer robe. Very spooky. Like a doll wearing a gas mask. And an articulated two-headed calf skeleton. They'd have these caskets in funeral homes, so you didn't have to have a whole casket to show people what it was like. Authentic Ouija board. It's a wolf or something right there. And then that mummified cat, that's amazing. There's a boar in a old-timey wheelchair. Child's casket, some roses in it. All these old medical supplies. Pretty amazing. I really like these though. Guy with a face half removed. Uh-oh, chaos reigns. And look at these. These are insane. These are like brains of different animals, fish, amphibian, reptile, pigeon, and mammal brains, and all these animals that have been opened up. We got a mummified monkey head, along with these other bones. A really cool sideshow banner up there. You can rent this steel human cage, but down here there's really bizarre taxidermied legs. It looks like a deer. And you can actually see inside. It's horrible things. $20 for casket keys if you want to do some grave robbing. Another child's casket, I think. Do not touch the giraffe. It's pretty giant. Look at that, got a little possum hanging there from a chain. Have a full two-headed calf right there. And then over here, got a boar with a saddle. Got some badger baculums and some raccoon baculums. And check out that, that's beautiful, that two-headed calf right there. Oh wow, that wolf. Got some little stuff down here, including an alligator eating a snake. Some deer heads, and of course our cabinet full of jars of fun. This is the bone bin. Look at that. What's really interesting is that they actually are not allowed to sell taxidermy in the shop. There's actually, they explain that only certain species of taxidermy can be sold in the state of Virginia. I think it's like basically deer and maybe one other species. So they're not allowed to sell any human remains either. So very odd to have a taxidermy shop that you can't sell anything, but they sell lots of other cool stuff, antiques in there as well. And I guess you can sell bones, because I got myself a raccoon baculum. I'm finally a real southerner. And for those of you who don't care for taxidermy, They did say that the taxidermy in that shop is ethically sourced, and I guess what that means is that a lot of the taxidermy is salvaged. They find old taxidermy and repair it so that the new animals don't have to be shot. That you know, they don't use taxidermy that's been where the animal's been killed simply to be taxidermied. So that's good to know, because I am an animal lover and also a fan of the art form of taxidermy that kind of helps give animals this second life. This Hollywood Cemetery that way. We are in Virginia, not California, so that's interesting. Let's head down and see what that's all about. This is the grave of Bernice Reese. She was a 2-year-old that died from scarlet fever in the 1860s. And this dog right here, statue of a dog, overlooks her grave. Now apparently the dog used to be at a local business. They used to have the statue out front of the local business. And Bernice loved the dog. She would pet the dog and talk to it every time that she visited the shop with her parents. And then after she passed away, the shop owner donated the dog statue to stand guard over the little girl's grave. As you walk through the cemetery, you notice the very large number of Confederate soldiers' graves. And then you stumble upon this. Now, there's 18,000 Confederate soldiers buried in this area, and shortly after the war, the Daughters of Confederate Veterans erected this 95-foot pyramid as a monument to all those that died. Now this here is the crypt. W.W. Poole. So this crypt here is the site of a very terrifying local legend involving a vampire. Allegedly W.W. Poole was a vampire, that he actually fled England because they had discovered his vampire nature, and that he had moved here to Virginia. And then in 1925, the Church Hill train tunnel collapsed, causing a creature to emerge. Eyewitness accounts said that there was a wild-looking creature that had flesh hanging from its body and gnarled, gnashing teeth, and that the workers saw the creature and chased after him. And the creature ran away, and they said that they followed the creature all the way to this tomb, where it went inside the tomb and vanished. So some say that the remains of a real-life vampire are in this tomb. There's actually 2 U.S. presidents buried in this cemetery, and here in this gilded cage we have James Monroe, one of our early presidents, and then we have President John Tyler, who is in the Simpsons Mediocre Presidents song. So not the 2 most famous presidents, but presidents nonetheless. But those aren't the only 2 presidents buried here at the Hollywood Cemetery. Although not a president of the United States, we have the President of the Confederate States of America, the one and only President of the Confederate States of America, Jefferson Davis, right there. Alright, since we're in Richmond, I figured I'd stop over here at the Edgar Allan Poe Museum. This is the oldest standing house in Richmond, Virginia. Now, unfortunately, this house has absolutely nothing to do with Poe himself. He never lived here, never did anything here. Everything Poe related in Richmond is no longer standing. He was not born here, but he did spend a good chunk of his life. He traveled around the East Coast a lot of his life, but a good chunk was spent here in Richmond. So let's go inside and learn about Poe.
Yeah, Poe I always try to. Yeah.
Nevermore. Here's Poe's boyhood bed. Nice quilt. There's a lock of Poe's hair right there. I would say let's clone him, but I think he's suffered enough. There's some of Poe's clothing, some old socks, and a dapper vest. This is Poe's walking stick right here, and then the trunk where he kept all his possessions. By the time of his death, a tavern had actually confiscated it because of unpaid bar tab. But the key to the chest was found in his pocket when he passed away. For 50 years, starting in 1949, on Poe's birthday, someone would leave a bottle of cognac on his grave. That stopped in 2009, mysteriously, and to this day, no one knows who it was. It's a plaster mold of a statue of Poe. That right there is the most famous photo of Poe ever taken. It was taken just several days after he attempted suicide, and apparently there's only 4 copies. The original is missing, but that's one of 4 copies of that photo. This is the only piece of the Poe's childhood home that's remaining, is the staircase. This building was actually built around it. They moved it from its original location. Hello, Poecat. How are you? Are you a friendly Poecat? Oh, yes you are. There's another Poecat. How are you? Hey, buddy. All right, so thanks for joining me on our little trip through some of the spooky parts of Richmond, Virginia. This is a really cool city, and I've not spent a lot of time here, so I will need to come back here sometime and dig a little bit deeper. But I do appreciate you guys watching. If you'd like to see other places I've been, please check in the description. There's an interactive map that will show you all the places I've been, and you can tell me where I need to go. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, you can purchase a t-shirt down below, or if you want to be a supporter on Patreon, a $3 donation or more will get you a postcard once a month. But for now, this one's in the bag.